What's up, everybody? I'm Matt.
And I'm Beth.
And today we're going to be reviewing the interior in the 2024 Jeep Wrangler. So the Wrangler gets a refresh here for 2024. It's still in the JL generation here, but you have on the outside a new grille. They got rid of the antenna that everyone loved. And on the inside here, though, the big change is this 12.3-inch touchscreen, which just dominates this interior now. You have a redesigned dashboard in order to accommodate this screen with these horizontal vents here underneath the screen now, which, takes away some of the character, I think, of the original interior, which had round vents there right next to the screen.
But at least you have the vents on the sides, so that's at least there.
Yeah, and I also like this like cloth you have on the dash as well.
Yeah, it definitely takes away from the fact that the rest of the car is this hard, rugged plastic, and it's all black, and it's very cheap seeming, so this like adds a little bit of value, I feel like, to the interior here.
Yeah, and they have tried to make these interiors a little more luxurious in some of the upper trims. This one we're in here is a Willys, and it's a 4xe, and so even though this one has cloth seats, this one still is $60,515. Which, I mean, people still pay the Jeep tax happily, so I'm not going to criticize it. Everyone likes something different, but I mean, yeah, this is a sea of hard, rugged, I will admit, but cheap-feeling plastic everywhere, at this price point. And anything else, this would be absurd, but in a Jeep, everyone's okay with it.
Yeah, you're paying for the name.
And the capability and everything. We're not Jeep people, so, full disclosure there, the appeal of these is a little bit lost on us, although I can certainly understand the appeal. But regardless, so the screen takes up, most of this dashboard now, though. It's pretty huge how it kind of bleeds into the passenger side. It's so big. It's like they don't have enough space in the Wrangler interior, so it almost seems a little off-center, but, it's a nice improvement, helps to modernize it. And anyway, though, getting on to the other main components of the vehicle here, you have these cloth seats here in the Willys. Now, you, of course, can get leather seats in other Wranglers. And the nice thing here for 2024, too, is that the seats are 12-way power adjustable as an option if you'd like. Previously, you couldn't get power seats like this in the Wrangler because of the water fording capability, that you couldn't have the electronics get wet if you were driving this thing through a river or something. Now they have waterproof that stuff, so you can have power seats. That's a nice thing. There's also an option now to get a premium interior package. This gives you some extra sound insulation with double paned windows and stuff to make it a little quieter in here if you are someone who's going after a more refined Wrangler. And so it's nice they've tried to make a few little improvements there with that. And these seats also, by the way, are heated, which is nice, and that's an option. Jeep's really good about giving you that option even on lower trims, so you don't have to go up to a fully loaded Wrangler in order to get stuff like a heated steering wheel or heated seats. But if you want to have anything beyond that, you're not going to be able to get like cold seats, for example, but it's nice that you have the heating at least. The steering wheel here in the Willys version of the Jeep is also a really nice wheel. It's leather wrapped, and like I said, it's heated here as an option, which is great that they give you that option. And just a few buttons here on it, little toggles on the back like you see on any of these other FCA Stellantis now, with all their vehicles having that, and it's a nice touch for sure. And then the gauges here are the same, actually. I thought maybe they would improve those to like a digital thing here for 2024, but they've left them analog, and I think they still look really great. Especially, I certainly assume that Wrangler owners would appreciate analog gauges still, and so it's great you still have the analog components, but that digital component is still nice and high resolution. It still gives you lots of customization with being able to see like an off-road page and anything else you want to put in there, and it's really packed full of great information. And so I think they're really great gauges and don't really need to be changed anyway. But then coming back over to the center of the dashboard here with this 12.3-inch touchscreen, it has wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. Now this screen, one nice thing about it is it is standard on all Wranglers, which is huge because previously you'd have small little screens in base Wranglers. Now you have this as standard, but the thing is, if you want to have navigation, that is still an extra cost option. And in the Wrangler, they actually give you a better reason to get the navigation than other vehicles where you just use your phone, because you're going to be taking your Wrangler in places where you don't have cell service and you can't always use those navigation apps. And the nice thing with the nav here in the Wrangler is that it also has a trail guide thing, so it'll actually give you trail navigation and tell you, hey, there's some big rocks coming up, you need to make sure you're in 4 low, or whatever the case might be, and they guide you through trails. And especially if you're someone who's not a veteran of off-roading, it's really great to have someone kind of holding your hand there a little bit with giving you a little bit of guidance there on the trail. So I think it's actually probably one of the best nav upgrades available from vehicles, and something you're probably actually going to want to get, especially if you want to actually use the Wrangler to its capabilities. But this one didn't have that feature, so I wasn't able to try that out myself, but it's great that they offer that here. And everything else is great, customizable widgets, and you can, have different pages that give you different information, so you can set it up to exactly giving you the information you want and nothing you don't need, and it's great that it's so customizable. Coming down, you just have a few basic knobs here. That all is the same as it was before, so nothing new here if you're familiar with Wranglers from the past few years.
Not loving the knob placement though, because there were a few times where I definitely toggled with the temperature climate controls in here just because I was trying to change the volume on the radio. So, you know, it's just something you have to pay attention to and look at.
And then just your window controls and all your other hookups there beneath that. And, you know, as far as storage spaces goes, it's the same as it ever has been in Wranglers, which isn't great, to be totally honest. You know, I mean, you just have little map nets here in the doors, but that, of course, makes sense because the doors are removable. And in the middle here, they just have your two cup holders with a little cell phone holder and this nicely padded center armrest. And you open that up and you'll see two levels. One just holds your tools here for taking apart the top and all that stuff, the doors. And then in the bottom here, it is nice and deep, and you'll see a regular USB jack, which is kind of surprising. Most other vehicles these days, especially in the 2023 and 2024 model years, all switch to USB-C for some reason. Also, you have another one of those here up front along with an auxiliary jack and one at least USB-C jack. So nice they have at least one there. But you know, not a ton of places to put things, honestly, in the Wrangler. Wrangler owners have already made their peace with everything in these interiors, so there's no point complaining about it. But, you know, it's not going to be as practical as your average crossover.
And one thing I will add before we move to the back is the fact that we had a car seat in the back, so my seat was pushed pretty forward. So every time I got out of the car, I banged my knee on the A-pillar area. So don't love the fact that I have a permanent bruise from driving this for a week. But hey, if you love your Jeep and you have kids, that can work, but it just is a little painful.
Yeah, and that's a good point, though. This is not a great family vehicle from a space standpoint. You know, it looks big on the outside, and if you don't test fit a car seat, you might think, oh, it'll be fine on the inside. But even with our forward-facing car seat for our toddler here, I mean, I'm 5'9", and me even sitting in that passenger seat, I had maybe an inch to spare before my knees were jammed up against that hard plastic, you know, dash there for the glove box. So it's not a lot of space. And, you know, if you had a rear-facing car seat, it'd be an even worse situation. That back seat is just not very big, and you don't have a ton of legroom up front here either, for that matter. And so, you know, I know people love using these as family vehicles for some reason, but there's not a lot of space here for a family. You know, you can make it work. It's just not going to be, you know, as comfortable as anything else that you spend 60 grand on, you know, as far as SUVs goes these days. But moving on to the back seat here in the Wrangler, you know, it's nice you have the four-door Wranglers now. Certainly gives you some extra practicality here. But those doors are also really small. You just look at them. I mean, they're really small doors. So there's a very narrow opening, and it actually was kind of hard to mount this car seat in the back here because for a couple of reasons. First off, you know, even getting it car seat through that opening is just, it's a small opening. That's hard to do. Once it's in there, you have this roll bar, which kind of, you know, is hard to stand up back there to, you know, mount the seat. And those headrests also don't have very much space, and they don't move out of the way, so you can't slide the rear tether in the back very well. You have to like really shove it through the headrest area there. It's just, it was one of the most annoying car seat installations as well. Not like that really is, you know, more than a one-time annoyance, but, you know, it's just not great for that either.
But I will say, to open the roof, and maybe you can just throw it through there. It would be a little easier.
Just sling it through the roll bars.
Yeah.
One nice thing safety-wise, though, while we're talking about the roll bars, they did add side curtain airbags finally to these roll bars, which isn't really an interior feature, but just, you know, if you are looking at one of these as a family vehicle, it's now a little bit safer. It's still no Volvo as far as safety goes. Most people understand Wranglers are not the safest vehicles on the road, but at least now Jeep has made an effort to make it a little bit safer at least, and I gotta appreciate the progress, you know, and so it's good they've made a little upgrade there in the safety department. But yeah, so I mean, you know, as far as the car seat goes, it's just, you know, not a great fit there. I mean, it works, it's doable, it's just not ideal. But anyway, even, you know, me being 5'9", sitting behind myself, just for adults, you know, sitting back there, I have, you know, a little bit of legroom there, but it is not a lot. You do have plenty of headroom though here with this soft top, because it really comes up way high above the roll bars there. But they do have their own air vents back there, which is a nice touch. And they also do have a full down center armrest with two cup holders built into it. But aside from that, you know, just, and again, tiny little nets in the doors, and you know, a couple little storage spaces there. Anyway, moving on to the cargo space here in the Wrangler. One thing I will say from a buying advice standpoint is if you want to have an open top experience, Jeep is really cool how they offer a sliding fabric top that just basically gives you this same soft top experience, just doesn't go all the way back or come off completely. It's an expensive option, it's a couple grand I think, but that's so much easier and just, you know, like works the same way as a moonroof. This soft top is really a pain to get it off, and on top of that, just getting into the cargo area is a pain because there's no way to lift up the, you know, hatch, so you just have it swing out, and then trying to get into the back of that is kind of annoying because you're just ducking under this thing trying to, you know, go back to the back. But I mean, it's just so hard to access that full length of that area back there. So I would definitely recommend in that case, just get the hardtop. The hardtop has an opening, you know, little hatch thing, and then, you know, problem solved. But for the soft tops here, I don't love even doing grocery runs in this because if a can rolls all the way to the back of, you know, where the seat is for the seat back, it's like I'm, you know, trying to do gymnastics, trying to reach through there to reach it. And so again, minor first world problems here, but just little quality of life things that just over the course of a week at least annoy me. Otherwise, it's a huge space, of course, being a Wrangler. Lots of space, nice and square, and you also beneath the floor have a little cubby there where you can store your charging cables if you get the 4xe version, which is what this is. But it's great they still offer these Wranglers in so many variations, and they can be so many different things to so many different people, whether you want it to be a cheaper G-Wagon or you want it to be some hardcore off-roader or something in between. You can do whatever you want with these, and it's really cool the amount of adjustability and customization you have in the Wranglers. And I think for 2024 it's just more competitive and, you know, just even nicer in here again with the little improvements we mentioned. But anyway, that's all of our thoughts here on the 2024 Wrangler interior. Let us know your thoughts on it in the comments below. Huge thanks to Jeep for providing us here with this Wrangler to review for you guys today. Yeah, thank you all very much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
Take care.